we're going to cover two main things today. So the first part is the official launch of the Statement on Collective Action for Education Equity. And then the second part of the program is the official opening of recruitment to the 100 Global AI Champions Initiative. Both of these ideas were first discussed during the program that we hosted in Salzburg back in December last year on the future of teaching. And that was a program that was made possible thanks to support from a range of partners. But ETS, which Jamie McExa is representing here today, and Mexicanos Primero, that Patty Vasquez is representing, and a number of other partners who were critical to making that program possible. And as with all the work that we do in Salzburg, it is only possible because of support from partners like you. So thank you very much. That program, The Future of Teaching, really focused on three key themes. One were global issues around retention and recruitment for teachers. The second was the role of technology, and particularly AI, and how that is or might be changing the nature of teaching and the teaching profession in the short to midterm future. And the third theme was around teachers' voice in the global architecture around education transformation, and were teachers' concerns being heard in ways that they felt were most important or most valuable. There were a number of different spin-off initiatives from that program. So we're running a workshop series, and Ryan was part of one of the workshops, the first one last week. This was developed with Learning Planet Institute, Knowledge Works, and Catherine, welcome. And Rethinking Assessment. This is a three-part workshop series looking at future educator roles and future learning ecosystems. And there'll be workshops in June and July, and we'll put the links to those in the chat as well if you're interested in being part of the June or July workshops. And then the statement, which was a team that Niraj chaired and sort of helped get over the line, but with many contributions from different people in the group, have produced this fantastic piece of advocacy looking at collective action that we are going to dive into in a bit more detail in a minute. And then another of the working groups was focused on this 100 AI champions idea and building a global network of teachers who were already deeply invested in using AI and willing to share great practice around the benefits. And in the second part of the program, Jamie and some of her colleagues from that working group are going to talk more about all of that. But before we go into Niraj's presentation, it is a great pleasure to introduce Karimo Odebode, who was part of the program because of the amazing education advocacy work that she does. But Karimo is also an award-winning and published poet in Nigeria, and has kindly agreed to open this session with reading a poem that touches on many of the themes around collective action. So Karimo, thank you so much for sort of taking off your educator cap and putting on your poet cap for the next few minutes. And yeah, excited to hear from you. And then we'll pass to Niraj, who's going to walk us through the statement. But Karimo, to you first. And thank you again for doing this.
Thank you so much, Dominic. Hello, everyone. It's such a delight to see everyone on the call today. My name is Karimot Odebode. I'm from Ibadan, Nigeria, and I'm so excited to open up this program with a poem which is titled "The Heart Is Our Home." It's a poem from my collection, which is titled "A Woman Has Many Names," and it's a poem that calls upon us to come together to do our bit when it comes to creating the world that we want. The heart is our home. Mother Earth opened herself for us, allowed us to walk freely, immersed our feet in the sand, laughed as the sea roared. Mother Earth opened herself for us, made us a home out of her. But what did we do? We turn our waste into a clean body, burning and breaking trees that are here to protect. What we have forgotten is that the earth is our home, that it allowed us to be. Why have we decided to not allow the earth be? Things we grew up growing have lost their color because of our actions and inactions. Be sustainable, create actionable plan, and embrace a cleaner environment. Embrace the rule of reduce, reuse, and recycle. Let the ocean breathe. Put your waste where they truly belong, not on the street. Let the wind marry. Let it come with us with no impurity. There is no true justice when the earth that allow us to be is threatened by us. When we do not fight for the earth that embrace us, we lose the home that embrace us. Reduce, reuse, and recycle. The earth is our home. Thank you.
Karima, thank you so much for that. I've put the link for anyone who doesn't have chat open. I've put the link to at least to the Amazon page of Karima's collection, which is fantastic. And Karima was also part of the statement writing team for this, so wears many hats. But now it's an enormous pleasure to hand over to Neeraj Dodemane, who I think pitched the original idea for us having a collective action output from this program, and is going to introduce the statement and bring in some of his colleagues who worked on that with him. So Neeraj, to you, and thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks so much, Dominic. And again, wonderful to see everyone here. I think a lot of familiar faces. It's so good to see a lot of us back in this room. And again, welcome to everyone who's joining us, who probably were not part of the very specific program where this output really came in. So for the next few probably minutes, the idea is to walk you through what this whole collective action statement is all about. And what I will do probably is spend some time talking about the why of the statement. How did the journey of bringing this really come together? What does the statement really entail? Talking about the contents, the objective, the intention of the statement, and the intention and the aspiration and how you could really use it. And then obviously in the process, loop in a lot of my friends who were part of this process. I think we had an incredible group that came together, diverse experiences, a common vision, common aspiration, but extremely diverse contexts. It's also my pleasure to kind of bring them in the process. So there is Karimo, there's Landre, there's Patricia, there's Olisa. Many of us are here. A few of us are not in this conversation, but we'll also be looping them in just so that we can give you more information, more sense of what this statement really is all about. And probably to do this, I will just share a few slides just to make it a lot more visual. So let me actually quickly do that. Is my screen visible to everyone?
Yeah, looking good.
Perfect. Great. Yes. So this, I think, early winters last year is when this group of incredible 55 people came together for the Future of Teaching program. And Dominic did talk about, what we were doing together in that. And obviously, incredible number of days. We spent a lot of time thinking future of teaching in different forms and sizes and different places. Many of the faces here are obviously that's are part of this call as well. In that, like I think a lot of you who are very aware of the Salzburg model, it is a lot, it's a lot of decentralization, it's a lot emergence, it's a lot on really kind of building from the collective wisdom that the group really had. So in that process, when we were discussing, debating, sharing ideas, thinking about patterns, thinking about common pieces, a few of us decided that there is something interesting emerging. And again, it was seven organizations from very different seven contexts. I obviously represent India. You have Karimot and Landry who are coming from two incredible organizations in Nigeria. Patricia and Valeria bring incredible context of how they're being enabling thinking about programs in Mexico. We also had we had representation from Peru. We also had Teach for All and Salzburg team. So it was a combination of people who were obviously implementing on the ground efforts in different forms and sizes, but also the combination had representation from networks. The Salzburg Global and Teach for All as two independent pieces there. And when the 8 of us came together, we didn't have an agenda. We didn't have clearly an output in mind, but we knew that we all believed in this idea that things can only work if people come together. So we started with that trend. So the question that we spent a lot of time, to a lot of you who may have been there in the beautiful Schloss, you would have seen that incredible green room that the Schloss really has. So in that, and I think it was amazing sun, all of us started discussing this very simple question. What has been our collective experiences, struggles, and what is our future really looking like? So we spent a lot of time just listening to each other's stories, seeing where are the patterns, seeing the common aspects of it. And there is where the journey really began. This is again somehow when I was preparing for this, I went back to seeing, is there any picture of our whiteboarding exercise? And I managed to get one of them. So this was the first attempt where we said, oh, are there different pieces coming together in what we really want to do? So I just thought I'll put this in front of everyone. I am sure to my colleagues who were part of the group, you would remember this image. This is where we started, and it obviously spent a lot of time going ahead. But in the process, I think we realized from our efforts on ground that there were two fundamental issues when it came to the idea of collective action. One, a lot of us acknowledge that collective action seems to be an absolute favorite. There is no debate about the need for collective action, and it is an aspirational goal. But where it really struggles is in its implementation. So we really kind of figured that out as a common challenge. And second, all of us realize that we are not talking enough on collective action. All of us believed it is important. We also realized that it is perhaps the only way to really go ahead. But elevation on this conversation has been extremely scattered. So we said, how do we make something where we make it very tangible? And second, it can really help strengthen the narrative around collective action. So we obviously brainstormed many things. We said keeping the function of time, keeping the function of diversity that needs to be taken into account. What is it that we could really do? And in the process, we said, are there a few things that brings us together? If we do want to have a collective voice, if there is something that all of us believe in, what is that belief really rooted in? And I think what came out is 5 simple pieces. One, that all of us believed that for education reform, leadership is an extremely important critical lever. Second, the only way things could work is to bridge cohesive collaboration and bring diverse actors together. Third is that fundamentally, if things need to change, it is a function of mindset shifts. We are talking about changing people's minds, and it is rooted in that whole idea. Fourth, this genuine passion. I think all of us in that room genuinely believe that collective action is the only way to really go ahead. And the last, that despite, and this again came from the conversation that we had, each of us were in different stages of our journey towards education reform. We were at different phases when we were thinking of collective action. But despite those differences, we realized that there are common things to really do. So keeping these, like I mentioned, right, this is the 5, I may call this the 5, belief pillars that kind of brought us together, saying that can we create something that can take these 5 pillars and bring that into action? So what you see in the document today is exactly this. The collective action statement talks about the differences and the different ways in which collectivization is happening. As you see on the right side is the first page of the collective action statement. And what you see there are examples from our story where we have seen collective action, each of us implementing a lot of these collective action efforts. And on the right side, just the conversation about leadership in collective action. And that again is an important piece that I was talking to you about, right? And on the second page, what you also see are those two pieces that I said. We called out all the different stakeholders that we have realized is important for thinking education reform in any of the geographies that may be thinking about education reform. And second, to say, if we are bringing these actors together, what is the fundamental mindset shift that we want to see these actors have? So the collective action toolkit is, or the action statement that you see here is just accumulation of all of this. It is to bring a point of view on what is leadership for collective action, share a few reference examples for everyone to think about what, where does this really, build from. And third, to say if this needs to happen, each of us need to fundamentally change something in the way we operate. So it lists down a few mindset shifts that we think we should really do. And last, obviously, I'll come to this and then I'll invite my friends to kind of share more, is we also spend time thinking, great that a statement like this is being put together, but what is the real use of this? And again, after I think conversations, after real examples, Landry is going to talk about how she used this in her workshop in Nigeria. What we see is 5 things that this statement can offer for everyone. One, that in the way you build your case studies, you build your narrative, you build your programs, this statement could be of great value. It gives a lens, it gives a point of view, it gives a reference. Second, all of us might be in the journey of bringing actors together. So the statement again can give a reference on where do you see this exercise really being today? What is the effectiveness? Where does it stand, in the process of bringing the ecosystem together? So use this as a reference to say, is my collectivization, is my ecosystem development efforts really going in some direction or not? Third, it can really help bring people together to think about commitment, to think about shared visioning. Again, the statement is agnostic of context, but it is rooted in the idea that contextual wisdom is the only way to go ahead. So using this, multiple actors can really come together and think of shared visioning exercise, whiteboarding exercise, etc. Fourth, like I mentioned, right, a lot of what you see in the document is about mindset shifts, is about shift in action. So this can also be used in your attempt to say, I work with different actors and I think about a nudge to reimagine roles, reimagine strategies in the way I work together. Obviously, complementing that is the idea that for collective action to happen, co-creation is an extremely important point. And if you're looking for a reference, you're looking for a hook, the statement could be that anchoring point for all of you. And last, obviously, like I mentioned, to drive a unifying agenda. Our hope is that the statement can help you build a bigger picture, bring that aspiration among stakeholders to think about the bigger picture and really bring people together. And obviously, a lot of this, some of us have tested, tried, experimented. And I obviously at this time want to invite Landry because she actually took the first draft of this statement, went to a workshop in the schools and in the geography that she engaged with, and attempted to use that as a reference. So obviously now, before really going ahead on anything, one would obviously love to invite Landry to talk about her experience doing this. But also in that process, want to invite Patricia and Karimot, and I don't know who else is here. Just your experience on where do you see the statement? What has been your connection to this statement and the work that you do? Just to give some, some reference to everyone who's part of this. Landry, would you want to just come in and talk about how you kind of use this in the work that you've been doing?
Yes. So if you permit me to share my screen so that it comes to life, I would like to share some pictures. Thank you. Everyone, good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you're joining from. And thank you for joining us for the launch of this statement. I hope you can all hear me clearly.
Yep, perfectly.
Thank you. So just like the Raj mentioned, we took the draft of this statement and used it within our workshop for the education sector in Lagos, Nigeria. We were hoping to build, or we are actually building a collective of different stakeholders to support the affordable non-state schools in Lagos, Nigeria. And our collective is based on of all hands on deck. And what did we do? We brought together 94 education stakeholders from the 20 local government areas of Lagos State to really look at how we can provide collective support for the sector, because this is a sector that is overlooked. For context's sake, most of education for the poor is provided by the affordable non-state sector in Lagos State rather than the public sector. So we have about 1,700 public schools, and we have over 15,000 affordable non-state schools. And so this is a critical sector that required collective support. So these 94 education stakeholders included school owners, leaders, parents, teachers, school associations, nonprofit organizations, CSOs, and we all came together to really collaborate and co-create a way forward. But using the Salzburg statement, what were we looking to do, or how did we use it? It was helped, just like Niraj mentioned, because of a unified agenda. And what is that unified agenda? We put it as an acronym, RISE. And what we want to do is to have a Lagos State law and policy that recognizes, includes, supports, and engages the affordable non-state sector to thrive and succeed within the state so that they can continue to provide quality education for the Nigerian child. And so the unified agenda, which was, put together as Rise Up, we're calling on the government to rise up, we were able to all come together as a collective to look at how we would all rise up to the task. And so we used the Salzburg statement as a pledge to be able to ensure that every single stakeholder had something they had to do towards rising up to this collective action. And so within the Salzburg statement, every single stakeholder we brought into the room had a mindset shift they converted into a pledge, and they took this pledge on this day as we all decided to work together to be able to ensure that the law and policy, education law and policy in Lagos State is all-inclusive with the affordable non-state sector as a critical player. And so that's how we use the statement. And really the pledge is something that every single stakeholder was really excited about because the mindset shifts really helped them to be able to see how they can take action and how they can continue to change the way they're thinking about this collective action we've all put our hands into for us to be able to ensure that every single Nigerian child gets access to quality education. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Landry. Again, it was just wonderful that you kind of took it immediately when we were in the process of drafting this. I think what also happened in the process is we were able to edit and make another round of edits to the statement based on how she could really use it. So that's, I think, incredible. Patricia, Karimot, Olisa, any quick thoughts, reflections from you in terms of how you see this statement? How does this really work in context of probably what you're doing?
I don't know if I can jump in, Niraj. So hi everyone, good morning from Mexico. And I think that we've got to the point in which we are super happy about this launch. Also, I know that you mentioned maybe, but I just want to go back and say that the statement is already in Spanish. So that's our first thing that we did from Mexicanos Primero, because we do think that in the regional area of Latin America and the Caribbean, we are very looking forward to just connect different initiatives and to think collectively about how we improve the educational systems in this part of the world. So first of all, that's a very first initial action that we did. But the second is in Mexicanos Primero. We have been working for 18 years now, advocating for the right to learn in Mexico. And one thing that is really important for us is to make this a whole social movement, not a movement from one organization, rather from different voices, different perspectives, and different also parts of the country. So I think that this statement, Niraj, is going to be the start of a whole new journey for us to connect differently with other organizations that we have already partnered, but other that we haven't worked with. And also we are building, Alejandro from my team is here also, an ecosystem in which we are mapping all the efforts around the right to learn in Mexico. So I don't want to take more time of what we have in the agenda for this morning, afternoon, but the thing is, this is the start of a journey. I think that we need to involve all the voices that kind of make us uncomfortable sometimes. Sometimes we're frustrated that the educational system, at least in Mexico, is not moving as we expect, and we don't have the results. But it's a matter of it's a matter of a collective action. And I think that reflecting on this for us is pretty important in the moment in which Mexicanos Primero is right now. Say that, and huge thanks to the amazing team that we worked for hours in that amazing place in Salzburg that inspire us to work together.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'll just take it from there. Thank you so much, Niraj, Patricia, and Larry. So I wanted to talk basically about the statement and how he talks more about the work that I do back in Nigeria. So my organization is called the Black Girls Dream Initiative, and one of our projects is to make sure that we have more girls go back to school and stay in school. So trying to reduce the out of school problem in Oyo State, Nigeria. Because that's the states in the southwest part of Nigeria that has the highest number of children not currently in school. And one of the key things about this statement is how can we come together as a collective to ensure that we have localized solution when it comes to education. And I think that when we were working on this statement, and I think that really spoke well to what we do, because beyond trying as much as possible to ensure that girls go back to school, we need to work hand in hand with not just the Ministry of Education, but the local actors like the community leaders and the parents to ensure that we have localized solutions, to ensure that more girls are in school. And that's one of the approach that we are using with the project that we just like Larry was talking about the program in Lagos. We also have a common project where we are using that perspective to ensure that we bring local actors like community leaders and parents to talk about localized solutions and in ensuring that more girls go back to school. So that's what I wanted to talk about as regards the statement, majorly about the collective action and the work that we do in ensuring that more girls go back in school and stay in school.
That was great, Karim. Thank you. Niraj, you're muted if you're talking. Sorry.
No, nothing else. I was just asking Alyssa if anyone else is there. I can't see if anyone else is there from the team. If there is nothing, then over to you, Dominic. Just wanted to mention that.
Well, really, the next part is to open it up for any questions or clarifications that anyone on the call would like to ask of the statement team. We would like to ask of all of you that you share it as widely as possible. I think for so many different reasons, we are in an era when collaboration, cooperation, collective action has never been more important. And so we hope that this statement can be a useful contribution or a catalyst for helping more institutions and individuals to think of ways to work together. You remember back in 2022 at the opening of the Transforming Education Summit, and in a recording I saw that the UN Secretary General spoke about education systems of the future being the ones that forefront collaboration as opposed to competition. And I think what the team have done here and the wider group have contributed to is a fantastic example of that. We would love to take a minute for any questions you may have or ideas about how it could be used. If you would like to see the statement in your own language, as Niraj and others have said, we'd welcome translations. We can say from our recent experiences of using ChatGPT to do the Spanish translation, it wasn't as effective as we hoped. And Mexicanos Primero made a very essential human intervention to correct a lot of that. But yeah, we would welcome translations to help make it as available as possible. Paulina, thank you. That's a great question. So for Niraj and the statement team, is there, with the case studies that you reference in the statement, are there?
Yes, I think very valid question. Maybe I can probably start and invite others. I think the common aspiration, if I may say, for each of us was that we were looking at solving for the education equity crisis in our respective geographies. It meant different things for different people. I'm sure what Karimot is doing is very slightly different from what Patricia is doing in Mexico to what I'm doing. But the eventual goal is to say all of us are looking at the big picture, which is to ensure that all our schools are thriving and all our schools are enabling a great learning environment for children. And we're all thinking different pieces and, puzzle pieces for doing that. So I think that aspiration was the blanket piece, that kind of brought us together. Obviously, we did go into innumerable conversations about what are the specifics in terms of what we want to achieve. But I think that was the aspiration that all of us believe in school as an institution and children having a great learning environment. And second, I think with that, what we really saw was, do we have a sense of what it means to bring people together? I think that's where the statement really kind of came out, saying we are looking at bringing people together, but are we speaking the right things? Do we really know what it means to co-create? Do we really know what is our aspiration to bring these people together? I think our peeling of the narrative was around that, saying that we do talk about collaboration, we do talk about bringing people together, but do we truly know what it means to do it? And at a point of saying, let go of us as organizations, let go of us as people who want to drive very specific change, it is in relative saying there is a challenge, and the challenge to be solved, different people have to do different things. Do we really know what that means? I think that was the larger aspiration, saying that there is a common thread, and there is also this sense that we're not talking the right things when we think about getting people together. I think that's where we really kind of started.
Thanks.
Jamie, that was a great question that you've put in about building out more case studies around collective action and the power it can make. That's something that we're very keen on and are talking with the comms team here, if we can continue to add to that part of the Future of Teaching webpage to get more examples and either go into more detail in some of the case studies which are in the statement. And there is a much longer version of the statement that was an earlier draft. And also, other case studies that the statement either helps catalyze or people want to share because they're good examples of collective action. And Andreas, thank you very much indeed for that offer. That's very kind. And we will be following up with you about that. So we're going to move into the second part of the presentation of this workshop now.
Can I ask one other question, Dominic?
Of course, yeah.
I was just wondering to the group, it's hard to imagine anybody would push back on this vision, but I imagine that there are people out there that may not agree or right with either, the whole thing or maybe parts of it. So I was just wondering, have you thought about that of like, and have you experienced that yourself in any of your work, that this, kind of call to collective action? What could you imagine people maybe might see differently, and how you might address that in kind of future conversations and work that we might do? I would love to say everybody would embrace it. I think probably everyone in this call does. But there's very perspectives all around the world.
If anyone on the call vehemently disagrees with the idea of collective action,
Yeah.
feel free to unmute and say why. I think there are often systems or institutions who feel that their context is so specific, or that their needs are so specific, that collective action may not be the right way forward. And we've come up against that kind of thing in other contexts with Salzburg work. What we would always try to put as a sort of counter position is that there is always value in knowledge exchange, in sharing learning, in thinking about how you can pool experiences, in how solutions that have been developed in one context may well be applicable or adaptable to a different context. That innovation is something which is very context specific. So what is utterly innovative in one country system might be standard practice in another, and it is through the process of coming together and thinking about collective advocacy or collective action that we're able to pool those experiences and move things forward. I would, also say, and I think Karimot's poem at the beginning spoke to this brilliantly, is that there are certain crises that we are living through in the 21st century, which can only be solved with a collective action response, the climate crisis being the most visceral and visible of those. And that is something where there's an important aggregation of individual actions, and how you might respond to it in your context or community is different to how others might, but it is going to require a collective effort to address that, which is one of those genuinely existential challenges to work through. And education is a critical component of that. So the sort of muscle memory that comes through working together and practicing different forms of collaboration is going to be invaluable as societies begin to think more about collective responses to issues like climate crisis or inequality, or any of the other massive social problems that we need to address in this century. Shall climb down from my collective action soapbox now. But thank you for the question. I do want to make sure that we have adequate time for the second part of this session. So really, to close out on the statement, thank you ever so much to Neeraj and Patty and Lamre and Karimo and Alyssa and the others who were involved in the writing of this statement. It's a fantastic piece of work, and we really hope that you'll all be able to share it far and wide. So the second part of this is moving into a network idea that was workshopped and iterated during the program around building a global alliance or a global network of teachers and other educators who are already using AI in their work and see it as part of the solution to some of the challenges that the profession is facing as we move into the second quarter of the 21st century. And so Jamie and Success and Fernando and Tomoko were all part of the team that developed that. So we're going to pass over to them for a presentation and an opportunity for Q&A. Jamie, are you kicking us off?
I think so. I think Valeria was going to share the slides. Does that still work? And then just a quick check, Dominic, on the time. Do we have time for the small group breakout, or should we?
We've got until the hour. I mean, people are welcome to stay on for longer.
Okay, so we have just until so we will not probably do the
18 minutes.
breakout then. We'll kind of play by ear, but my hunch is maybe we'll fine. All right, everybody can see that, okay?
Yeah, perfectly.
Well, I'm really excited to be here with our team today to share with you our vision for this 100 AI teachers map, which is basically an initiative that the team of us at the Future of Teaching seminar last December envisioned. And that initiative is this 100 AI Teachers Map, which envisions a really AI savvy teaching environment where educators around the world can really come together to be able to showcase and learn from one another about productive, innovative, and meaningful ways that educators are or could integrate AI into their classrooms and the work that they do to support student learning. So if you want to go to the next slide there, you'll see a picture of the main team members that have been working together. So as I mentioned, this is a group of educators and educational leaders all across the world. So you see there's representatives of our team from Japan, Nigeria, Kenya, Austria, Brazil, the US, United Kingdom, and Mexico. And we came together under the Salzburg Global to really think about how we could shape the future of artificial intelligence or AI augmented teaching. And our discussions as we were there really centered on AI literacy and teacher leadership as really fundamental pillars for equitable and transformative education. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand it off to Hamid, and he's going to tell you a little bit on the next slide about the aims of the 100 AI Teachers Map initiative. And then we'll share a little bit about how we're thinking about organizing it and this work to kick it off.
Yeah, thanks, Jamie. And good to see everybody. I was reading a book recently about AI, and there are two things that are kind of like important at the moment. One is that we have to invite AI to the table. And the second is that we have to see AI as a co-intelligence. And when we think about education, when we think about teachers, we have to understand that AI can be the co-collaborators for teachers, and also as well could be, teachers actually inviting AI to the table because it's probably here to stay. You may either agree or probably disagree with me, but you know that AI is here to stay at the moment. So our goals for the AI Teachers Map initiative is to highlight the role of AI champions. These are teachers actively using AI to enhance learning and create their experience into accessible, structured database. And one of the things that we are hoping to do, or we are aiming for, is to find role model teachers. So these are teachers who are already using AI in their work, to identify, showcase, and empower those teachers to continue to use AI, and so actually spotlight their stories so that it can inspire other teachers as well to continue to use AI as well. Because one of the things that, I've learned personally is that sometimes we think courage is internal, but sometimes courage is external. It's actually seeing that other people have done this before, and it's possible to do that as well, whether ethically, whether in an innovative way, or whether in a creative way, and how do we use that to actually drive excellence in education and equity in education. I'll probably be stopping here because I'll pass the baton again to Jamie, who is going to be walking you through the map. What do we actually mean by map? What does that mean? So Jamie will be walking us through that process as well.
Great, thanks so much, Hamid. So as Hamid mentioned, we're really trying to highlight the role of these AI champions, teachers who are actively using AI to enhance learning and really be able to try to help curate their experiences into this, what we're calling this accessible structured database of the 100 AI Teachers Map. And at the moment, this was our current thinking. This may actually shift once we actually have the 100 AI champions on board. But the current thinking was that this online database would be organized in a way that would categorize the AI champion success stories by the key tasks in which teachers engage in and plan for to support student learning when they use AI. So you can see these kind of what we're calling 5 different neighborhoods. In a minute, I'll go into more details about each of them. But the 5 neighborhoods are really about how are they using AI tools to help them do work to design, to evaluate, to do administrative tasks that they have to do as educators, to personalize instruction, as well as to provide feedback. So the idea is really like the AI Teachers Map in the database itself. It's not just like a static representation of AI in education and how educators are using AI productively to plan for and engage in instruction to support student learning, but it's really an interactive network of AI-powered educators that are really strategically distributed across these neighborhoods that help reflect these different kind of teaching responsibilities, as well as pedagogical challenges that come along with using AI in these different areas. So each of these 5 neighborhoods, the way we kind of initially envisioned it, would not only represent a key kind of category of these teaching tasks, and each would be inhabited by this kind of curated selection of AI champions who would really help to serve as guides within each of those neighborhoods, especially for new educators that join the group. And we also envision that the AI champions will really be drawn, we hope, from diverse global teaching communities that span kind of K-12 to maybe even higher education, and really do represent a balanced spectrum across identified gender, geography, and economic backgrounds and communities. So I'm just going to go to highlight just briefly each of the what we call those 5 kind of areas. We call them neighborhoods, and what their focus is, what we were initially brainstorm as like the key tools that educators may be using to address each of those main areas or those tasks that they do in the work of teaching, and what it might highlight for both the AI champions that are part of that neighborhood, but also for other educators who would come to explore that neighborhood, that part of the curated database. So the first neighborhood we're calling the design district. The focus of this neighborhood is about how AI is being used to support lesson creation and innovation. And some of the key tools that one might see in this neighborhood might be AI-powered curriculum design platforms, some lesson plan generators, as well as maybe multimodal content creation platforms. And the AI champions in this neighborhood will really be ones who specialize in kind of using AI to help with course design, curriculum innovation, and creative lesson planning. And the educators that come to explore this neighborhood would be able to explore and learn about tools that could help with generating interactive content. They would learn potentially about tools for gamified learning experiences, as well as adaptive teaching materials. So that's neighborhood number 1. The second neighborhood that we've identified so far is what we call the evaluation avenue. And the focus of the evaluation avenue would be how educators are using AI to support assessments and performance analytics. So some of the tools that might be the focus within this neighborhood might be AI-based grading assistance, predictive analytics for student success, maybe even plagiarism detection software. And the AI champions in this neighborhood would be ones who are leveraging AI to potentially do things like automate grading, analyze their students' performance, and implement adaptive testing. And educators who come to explore this neighborhood would be able to learn about different approaches to really potentially reduce some of the administrative workload while enhancing student assessment accuracy. In neighborhood 3, we call that the feedback forum, where the focus is using AI to support educators to really be able to glean real-time insights and support their students. And that may be through the use of tools like AI-powered tutoring chatbots or voice-to-text feedback tools, or even automated essay grading. One of the things you might start to notice is that, right, each of these neighborhoods, while they're at the moment conceptualized as distinct neighborhoods, there also is some overlap across these neighborhoods. In the feedback forum neighborhood, the AI champions there, we envision would be educators who are using AI-driven feedback systems that help them provide personalized insights to students. And educators coming to this neighborhood would be able to explore strategies where AI is being used for scalable, real-time, and multilingual feedback mechanisms. In the fourth neighborhood, which we call the personalization plaza, the focus is on AI for differentiated inclusive learning. And some of the tools that you might see being highlighted in this neighborhood would be personalized AI tutors, language translation tools, maybe tools that support accessibility for students that have varied needs. And the AI champions that would be in this neighborhood would be ones who are using AI to customize learning paths and support students' diverse learning styles, needs, and abilities. And the educators exploring this neighborhood would be able to learn about approaches where AI is being used to enable different adaptive learning environments that can really adjust to student progress in real time. And then our fifth neighborhood is what we call the administrative hub here. And the focus is really using AI for workflow optimization. Some of the key tools that might be how educators are using AI to support scheduling, or some of their, HR responsibilities, or even some professional learning analytics for themselves. So AI champions in this neighborhood might be ones who are using AI to streamline some of their workloads, automate some of their reporting and grading responsibilities, and enhance their own institutional efficiency. And the educators that come here could explore and learn about strategies and approaches for AI-driven workflow automation, scheduling systems, and even potentially professional development. So at the moment, that's kind of how we're thinking about those 5 neighborhoods, and would love, like, in the chat, please, feel free to highlight anything about, like, do these ideas kind of resonate with you? Are there does this seem like these are capturing a lot of the ways that you've heard about, or you yourself as an educator are using AI to support the work you do, as well as what might be some gaps that we have here? And this is part of what we'll actually be working on together with the AI champion. So this is just a starting place, but love to get any of your feedback as well. The last thing I'll highlight here is what we're planning to do is the first part is we want to recruit and actually find the AI champions all across the world, and then actually help identify who those are and help them tell their success stories that link to one or more of those kind of neighborhoods that I just shared. So our team put together just some initial brainstorming of when the AI champions actually share some of how are they using AI productively in innovative and meaningful ways to support the work they do and support student learning. Here are some things that they might share. And we actually have a survey that we're launching today that helps to start to begin to gather some of this information. And then we'll be working closely with a cohort of AI champions all across the world to bring these actually success stories to fruition and be able to share it through that online curated database. So things like the AI tool use context. So what is the actually context for how they're using the AI tools? What, in terms of their classroom, their students, their school, their community. For the AI tool use, how are they actually using the tool to augment the teaching and the work that they do? And how are they integrated into their work as a teacher, as well as what are some of the limitations of the specific AI tools or tools that they're using? We're thinking it might be really helpful to highlight some of the outcomes of the AI tool use, like how and why did the educators find the tool useful, and what outcomes are they seeing in their classroom and students when they're using particular tools. And then the last 2 things are about the future application of the AI tools and AI tool details. So in terms of the future application, what advice might they give to other educators about the tool and when and how they think the tool might work? And then specifics around, of course, what is the tool? How might you access it? How did they learn about it? And how did they learn to use it, right? That could be shared. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Success, and she's going to share with you a little bit about our tentative work plan. So what this looks like to try to bring this initiative to life and get it started.
Thank you, Jamie. Hello, everyone. So our tentative work plan would be starting from May till March 2026. And the reason why we planned this is because we want to create a situation where we can easily track the work that we're doing. And we want to ensure that we are involved with all the AI champions that we've recruited. So we would be recruiting the AI champions from May to June 2025. This will give us the ability to get as much teachers who are currently using AI in teaching and learning. We don't just want to focus on one region. We are really hoping that we'd get representatives from across the world. So we are really asking you guys that living in different parts of the world to share this survey to as many teachers that you know or to as many schools that you are aware of. And then from July to August, we're going to be reviewing the survey results and would select the inaugural group of AI champions and would ensure that this process is transparent as much as possible. And we'll be doing that together as a team, and we'll be sharing the feedback with everyone to know those that are actually selected. And in the form, if you click on the form, which another of our teammates will be sharing later on, you would see there are options for you to nominate someone as well. So then in September, we'll be starting the kickoff of the orientation program for the AI champions. In September, we'd like to let everybody know what the AI champions is all about so that we can bring them on board. And then so everyone will know that they're in a very good page, or that we're in the same page rather. And then we are hoping to do the program from October to December. And then we'll work with the AI champions to develop AI tools that they are currently using in their different schools. And then from January to March 2026, which is the end of the program, would ensure that we disseminate the results from our programs, the feedback that we've gotten from sharing the success stories from the AI champions, and ensuring that everyone knows what we've done in the past couple of months. We want to ensure that this is hands-on and not just a fellowship program where people are spectators, but they are like active learners and active innovators in their journey. That's one thing that we genuinely hope to get from the program. And for us to be able to do this, we would need you and your support to be able to pull this off. So I'll be passing this over to Tomoko, who will be taking us with the survey plans and talking about how this process would be like.
Thank you, Success. The dissemination and implementation plan, we are going to share the flyer and the survey link with educators. And the educators should know who are currently using AI in their work. In Japan, many organizations started to gather the how teachers use in Japan. So maybe if we can gather this information worldwide, this will be the very powerful database for all the teachers all over the world. Yeah. Also, others can complete the survey to nominate an AI champion, because usually champions are very busy in using AI. So maybe other people can write up for them to share their knowledge and how they use AI. And survey will be accessible through June 30, 2025. And link to survey is the following. I already tried filling out, but also while filling out, teacher can learn what kind of AI has been used already. The survey itself have lots of information for teachers themselves. So please try out the survey. Thank you for listening. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
This is the
I know.
end. Yeah.
Yeah, I know we're at time, and the chat has been active, so we appreciate that. And thanks, Dominic, for sharing. I think we have the link shared a few times, but we do have some flyers that we'll be sharing out. And I think, Dominic, the plan is for your team to also share it more widely. I'm not sure, maybe you could say exactly what platform, but to share that more widely. But we're, starting it today, launching it today, and really would love, anybody here that is using AI. Please complete the form if you're interested, but also to share it with others that you know about. Go ahead, Success.
Okay, so I just wanted to point out something that you can apply as an individual, but where you can also share the form to organizations as well. Because I realized also on LinkedIn, there are some organizations that are really focused on teachers, so they recruit teachers as well. So you can share that to them, and you can also nominate other people that you think should actually be part of the organization. So we did the application in 3 stages, so you can see all the details at the beginning of the form. But feel free to let us know if you have any questions and anything. And I think the last point I would also want to clarify is the last bit of the survey talked about submitting a supporting document. What we're actually looking for is that we just want the teachers to submit any supporting document that indicate that they are currently using AI in teaching and learning. But feel free to go through the form, and then we can answer your questions as much as we can in the next couple of minutes. Thank you.
So we're just past the hour. Thank you all for staying with us. And particular thanks to Success and Jamie and Tomoko and Hamed and the rest of the team who've worked so hard to make the AI Champions initiative live and up and running.